It's 10 p.m. in Banjul, and from our studios on MDI Road, this is the news. First, the headlines. Leaders of Muslim countries meeting in Turkey hailed President Jammeh's decision to declare the Gambia an Islamic State and Banjul's resolve to convene the next summit of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. First Lady Madam Zainab Yahya Jammeh renews her commitment to fighting cancer. Experts from the ECOWAS sub-region meet to discuss issues revolving around the multi-billion-dollar Dakar-Lagos highway project. The Agriculture Ministry kickstarts a vaccination campaign seeking to protect 300,000 cattle from the contagious bovine pleuropneumonia or CBPP. And authorities in Ecuador pegged the number of people killed in the devastating earthquake at over 350 people. These and other stories coming ahead this half hour. I am ALHAGIE ABUBAKAR DARBOE. Thank you for joining us. The general public is hereby informed that His Excellency the President of the Islamic Republic of the Gambia, Sheikh Professor ALHAGIE Dr. Yahya AJJ Jammeh Babil Mansa, acting under the provisions of Section 71(4)(b) of the Constitution of the Islamic Republic of the Gambia, has decided to relieve Mrs. Sira Walin Daunjai of her ministerial position as Minister of Petroleum and Energy with effect from 18th April 2016. Subsequently, His Excellency the President has appointed her to the position of Deputy Minister of Tourism and Culture with immediate effect. The 13th session of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation Summit in Turkey ended on a high note, with leaders from 57 Islamic countries adopting a final communique, which, among other things, endorsed His Excellency Sheikh Professor ALHAGIE Dr. Yahya AJJ Jammeh Babil Mansa's move to make the Gambia an Islamic Republic. The communique, as HN Silva reports, also contains details of the agreement reached by leaders on the Islamic Republic of the Gambia's offer to host the 14th OIC Summit.
Excellency, Sheikh Professor Dr. ALHAGIE Yahya Jammeh Babil Mansa's historic decision to espouse an Islamic State status in the Gambia received an endorsement from the second biggest intergovernmental organization during its just ended 13th summit in the Turkish largest city of Istanbul. The Gambian leader's policy declaration on the matter can be traced back to last year, when he consigned the country's secular state status, replacing it with an Islamic identity due to the overwhelming majority of Muslims in the country. The President has ever since reiterated this pronouncement in his numerous public statements. A case in point was the recent state opening of the National Assembly, where he emphasized his government's commitment to make the country a melting pot where minority rights will not be compromised. During the just ended OIC summit in Istanbul, Turkey, leaders representing 57 Islamic countries adopted a voluminous 38-page final communique that inter alia approved of and welcomed the government of the Gambia's move to becoming an Islamic Republic. The leaders were also quick to send an invitation to the Arab League to consider within its rules and procedures and admit the Islamic Republic of the Gambia, an observer member state in the League, in the spirit of Islamic solidarity within the framework and principles of a joint Islamic action. The Istanbul communique, as it is called, was the outcome of the 2 lengthy days of hard work by the heads of state of the Islamic countries. The document welcomed with appreciation the government of the Islamic Republic of the Gambia's show of support and Islamic solidarity as manifested by the latter's decision to be the first country to publicly open its doors for the Rohingya Muslim refugees. Even though it was agreed in the preceding summit in Egypt that the 14th session of the OIC summit will convene in the Islamic Republic of the Gambia, leaders did not vacillate to discuss the event, perhaps to make sure that the date for the Banjul event is fixed as outlined in the final communique.
I thank Member States for the support for the hosting of the OIC in the Banjul. But remember that decision was taken and put into the final communique in Cairo, not yesterday or the day before yesterday. It took 2 years. It was on 2 years ago. And actually there was no debate about it because it was already in the final communique in Cairo. But I thank member states for the support. And I depend on the Almighty Allah for whatever we achieve in this country. I'm not counting on anybody. I'm counting only on the Almighty Allah for whatever we are going to do in this country. Because it's only the Almighty Allah that can give you what you want. And that is what I'm banking on.
The communique also announced without reservation the heads of state's endorsement of the government of the Gambia's offer of hosting the 11th session of the Islamic Conference of Information Ministers and equally demonstrate their backing of the Gambia government's proposal and that of Qatar for the promotion of interreligious dialogue between OIC member states. The move is meant to raise awareness about religious interpretations. The document also went on to indicate the leader's commendation to President Jammeh's move to ban and criminalize the practice of FGM in the Gambia, calling on fellow member states to do so in the interest of women's advancement and for the overall benefit of the Islamic Ummah. The Gambia's proposal on the recent upsurge in xenophobic attacks, violent extremism, radicalization, inequality, racial discrimination, and intolerance was another critical issue which member states unanimously agreed to tackle head-on. They also showed their solid support to galvanize the international community towards re-engaging with the ongoing discourse on the negative historic legacies of transatlantic slave trade, colonialism, and looting of cultural heritage and artifacts, as well as the related issues of restitution, reparation, and atonement for these wrongs. Leaders, however, called on the OIC Secretary General Iyad bin Amin Madani and other relevant organs to support and collaboratively work at the international level in pursuing the tabling of Islamic Republic of the Gambia's proposal at the UN General Assembly and the Human Rights Council, and to provide a feedback. They also tasked the OIC and partners to support the Gambia's request to convene an international conference which seeks to comprehensively discuss the issue of slave trade, slavery, colonialism, restitution and reparation, and address historic wrongs. Another issue which head of states adopted and agreed to pursue was the resolution on the cause of Palestinians after several years of back and forth on the matter. The Palestinian struggle was actually the backdrop of the formation of the OIC precisely after the brazen attack at the Alaska Mosque in Jerusalem. Leaders are now calling on the OIC and the international community to work hand in hand in order to put an end to what they call an Israeli apartheid move and encroachment on Palestinian lands. Etienne Silva, GRTS News.
First ladies from OIC member states have reaffirmed their commitment to the advocacy and fight against cancer. The pledge was made during a meeting on the sidelines of the recent OIC confab hosted by the First Lady of Turkey, Madam Emin Erdogan. Moununjai reports.
Recognizing the fact that cancer is a burden that can no longer be ignored, for it accounts for more than 8 million deaths last year, according to the WHO 2015 forecast. The First Lady of the Islamic Republic of the Gambia, Her Excellency Madam Zainab Yahya Jammeh, was among several other First Ladies who attended the 13th Summit of the Organization of Islamic Conference, OIC, special session on First Ladies' leadership on cancer control in OIC member states, hosted by Her Excellency Emin Erdogan, First Lady of Turkey in the Turkey city of Istanbul. In view of these developments, First Ladies from OIC member and observer states, health professionals, scientists, advocates against cancer and other relevant stakeholders gathered to discuss a common platform towards tackling cancer.
Cancer has become an important public health issue, and it is ranked in the top 3 diseases among the cause of death, and it is prevalent in the developing countries, and the scientific research indicate that at least 1/3 of cancers can be prevented and another 1/3 can be treated with early diagnosis. 90% of cancer is led because of environmental conditions, and only 10% is caused by the genetic factors. And in this regard, control programs are vital for the future of the humanity.
Accompanied by senior government officials and experts, First Lady, Her Excellency Madam Zainab Yahya Jammeh, addressed the meeting highlighting successes registered by the Gambia in combating the disease that has become one of the leading causes of death in the world.
Like most other countries, especially third world and developing countries, there is cancer in the Islamic Republic of the Gambia. According to data from Gambia Population-Based Cancer Registry, cervical cancer is the most common form of cancer among women in the Gambia, accounting for 37% of all registered female cancers. Liver and breast cancer are also prevalent in the country with 20% and 10% of all registered female cases. Most Gambians with cancer seek medical assistance often too late when the disease has already reached an advanced stage, thereby making it difficult to control and cure. Often women are tested in the context of opportunistic screening, which is ineffective in terms of population coverage. As a primary preventive measure, my office, which seeks to enhance the supportive system of the government in health in collaboration with the Directorate of Health Promotion and Education within the Ministry of Health, have developed structured education program using the media to raise awareness on how to reduce high-risk behaviors for cancers and other diseases.
Having First Ladies from OIC countries address cancer issues is envisaged to serve as a powerful visible display of Muslim women making important contributions to improving public life. At the end of the session, a declaration was signed by OIC First Ladies, committing themselves to raise awareness about the increasing cancer burden on OIC member states and to support efforts to expanding access to effective cancer prevention, diagnosis, treatment, and care. Mamadou Njai, GRTS.
The recent high-level interface that drew a good number of political leaders from the Muslim world provided an opportunity for the First Lady of the Islamic Republic of the Gambia and her Turkish counterpart to hold discussions bordering on the welfare of children. First Lady Jammeh used a meeting held on the fringes on the Cobbath to thank Madam Erdogan for supporting Operation Save the Children Foundation during a recent breakfast meeting held in the Gambia. Mubun Jai has more on that.
On the margins of the 13th Summit of the Organization of Islamic Conference, OIC, special session on First Lady's leadership on cancer control on OIC member states, the First Lady of the Islamic Republic of the Gambia, Her Excellency Madam Zainab Yahya Jammeh, also chairperson of the Operation Save the Children Foundation, OSCF, accompanied by Honorable Fatou Lamin Faye, Minister of Basic and Secondary Education, and Fatou Mas Job, Executive Director of OFCF, met with Her Excellency Emin Erdogan, First Lady of Turkey. Her Excellency, the First Lady, Madam Zainab Jammeh, used the opportunity to extend sincere appreciation and gratitude to Her Excellency Emin Erdogan, First Lady of Turkey, for her support during the recent Operation Save the Children Foundation breakfast meeting held in January 2016. Her Excellency, Madam Emin Erdogan, through the Turkish embassy, donated a handsome amount during the breakfast meeting in support of the foundation's initiative to better the lives of children. In view of the synergy in the humanitarian work being done by Her Excellency Emin Erdogan and Her Excellency Madam Zainab Yahya Jammeh, the discussions focus on salient issues that could significantly complement the laudable efforts that are being made to help realize the goals of OSCF and other programs spearheaded by Her Excellency Madam Zainab Yahya Jammeh. Mamadou Njai, GRTS.
Technical and legal experts from the ECOWAS sub-region recently sent a gathered in Banjul to design Phase 2 of the Dakar-Lagos Highway Development Project. ABUBAKAR Kamara reports over 100 million ECOWAS citizens stand to benefit from the planned intervention.
High-level convergence of ECOWAS infrastructure and legal ministers meeting, seeking to critically look into the recommendations of the experts meeting that preceded the event barely 3 days ago.
We are gathered here as Africans to deal with a project that is very important. The African Union and our development partners, they have been working very hard to ensure that we realize the Abidjan to Dakar highway, which is one of the Trans-African highways.
The Trans-West African Coastal Highway runs from Mauritania, Nouakchott, to Nigeria, Lagos, and connects Guinea and Liberia through Sierra Leone.
The finalization of the multi-million-dollar project hyped by ECOWAS leaders to resolve the ensuing transportation problems, limiting the free movement of people, goods and services has been critically dissected by experts, but not without technical and legal complications.
We believe that if we are sincere about not only regional integration, but indeed the African unity that we called for, these are the practical projects that will bring benefits to the African people. The realization of this highway will indeed give our people access to schools, access to universities, access to hospitals. It will also give our farmers access to their farms, access to their storage facilities, access to their markets, and hence advancing agricultural production in Africa.
Whatever is done today or whatever is done at the end of the day is based on their efforts and their understanding of the technical difficulties that we certainly will have to encounter in bringing this project to realization.
The day's meeting by ECOWAS road ministers, aided by both technical and legal experts, is aimed at coming up with a roadmap for the realization of the project.
Furthermore, it will also facilitate the movement of people and goods. 300 million ECOWAS citizens stand to gain from this project.
ABUBAKAR Kamara, GRTS.
Magistrates and judges recently gathered for a day's sensitization on female genital mutilation or cutting. Ominjai reports on the program funded by UNICEF meant to deepen the participants' knowledge of the banned practice.
Following a presidential decree banning female genital mutilation or cutting in 2015, which has since then yielded a significant impact on the socio-cultural stance on the issue, UNICEF has held a day's training with the judicial arm of the government in a bid to better strengthen their understanding of the issue.
These sessions aim to strengthen this common understanding. UNICEF has over the years supported research and high-level advocacy efforts on the issue, including facilitating dialogues with Islamic religious leaders to address incorrect religious justification for FGMC.
Shortly after the groundbreaking pronouncement, the Women's Act was amended with a view to ensuring that the decree is enacted into law. UNICEF's training with the judiciary on FGMC could prove paramount in making real progress in the abandonment of the practice.
We come here today to look at the law as reflects what the current position in the Gambia. The Gambia is a signatory to several international conventions and protocols, and many of them reflect on the right of women, the right of children, and the welfare of our society. As of today, the Gambia has backed up its commitment in these conventions and protocols with the enactment of a local legislation that the judges are expected to apply.
The day-long training also allowed some health personnel to make presentations on FGMC and its health consequences, such as sexual and reproductive health problems, which is singled out as the leading one. With concerted efforts, coupled with the engagement of community leaders and the judicial sector, the total abandonment of the harmful practice can soon be realized. Uminjai, GRTS.
The mass vaccination campaign to protect the Gambia's cattle population from the deadly contagious bovine pleuropneumonia, or CBPP, has kicked off in Soma Lower River region. An estimated 300,000 heads of cattle will be administered the highly effective vaccine. The intervention funded under the P2RS project aims to build resilience among food and nutrition insecurity in the Sahel. And as Modjala reports, livestock officials are confident the campaign will put the Gambia on course to eliminate the disease which has the potential to wipe out half the country's cattle population.
The nationwide vaccination campaign was officially launched by the Minister of Agriculture, Ismaila Sanyang, who administered the first shot at the heart in Soma Lower River region. The livestock subsector is one of the main pillars of the national economy, and the threat posed by the cattle disease was too great to ignore, as it could have disastrous consequences on the lives of farmers and the nation.
The estimated CBP annual income cost in 12 sub-Saharan African countries have been estimated at 44.8 million euros, and about 24.4 million people in sub-Saharan African countries, including thousands of farmers in the Gambia, are at risk of livestock losses due to the disease. Following the outbreak in 2012, there was the risk of losing 50% of our national herd, amounting to 200,000 heads of cattle, with an estimated loss of $3 billion. We are here today to witness the highest level of commitment to improving the livelihood of Gambian farmers by our champion farmer, His Excellency the President.
Therefore, since the re-emergence of this contagious disease, the government, in collaboration with partners, instituted a robust response mechanism which involved a 5-year uninterrupted mass vaccination campaign nationwide to immunize cattle from the disease, which, according to officials, leads to quick and high mortality rates as it affects the respiratory system. The Department of Livestock Services will spearhead the campaign with funding from the Building the Resilience Against Food and Nutrition Insecurity in the Sahel, or P2RS project.
The importance of this exercise cannot be overstated because, according to experts, CBPP is such a deadly disease which would have wiped out 50% of our national cattle herd if appropriate measures were not taken. Therefore, when the outbreak occurred in 2012, the government of the Gambia and FAO took immediate action and jointly developed a technical cooperation program. The purpose of this TCP was to enhance the capacity of the Department of Livestock Services and to help the country to immediately control the spread of CBPP within and outside the country.
This campaign will therefore reassure farmers that government and its partners are taking the necessary steps to protect their cattle, as the livestock subsector is crucial in attaining national food security.
This CBPP project or vaccination is a very important vaccination. Without such, we will have lost a lot of cattle in this country. But now government have come to the aid of the farmers to see that they do something that can minimize this disease. So once again, we thank the minister and his team. Since in the morning, they have been here with us in this forest trying to see how best we can do. Without this vaccination campaign, we will have lost a lot of animals because this disease is a very dangerous disease and it can kill a lot of animals within a short within soonest as possible time. But now with this vaccination, definitely we will able to retain more animals, and that will able to serve the over increase in demand in the market.
Therefore, officials are hopeful that farmers across the country will cooperate with staff of the department to accomplish such an important but challenging task. This is the fourth vaccination campaign undertaken by the Department of Livestock Services in collaboration with partners to control the spread of the deadly contagious bovine pleuropneumonia, which resurfaced in the Gambia in 2012 after a 4-decade absence. The campaign intends to target the entire cattle population in the Gambia, which is estimated at over 300,000 heads. Momodu Jaro, GRTS, Jaraso.
We'll now take our first break. The news continues right after.
QCell's Kodo mobile money, you can now send and receive money anytime, anywhere. QCell's Kodo also lets you buy QCell credit, Q-Power, and lots more. For more information, call 133. QCell's Kodo Mobile Money. Sunyu SIM, Sunyu Kalpe, Sunyu Bus.
Welcome back. European Union foreign ministers are expected to hold talks in Luxembourg on the situation in Libya, one of the main stopping points for migrants en route to Europe. As the favorite route for migrants from African countries, with the so-called Balkan route now closed to Syrian migrants, concerns are growing that they will also head for Libya. More in the DWTV report.
Turning point has been reached. The migration crisis is supposed to be solved outside of Europe in third countries. Europe's latest charm offensive is directed at Libya.
We now have to have our teams at work to identify concrete projects in different fields that are the priorities of the Libyan people and of the Libyan government, both on the economic, on the political and on the security side.
Libya has been racked with civil war since 2011, with militia groups and rival governments fighting for control. Stabilizing the country would benefit Europe's policy of keeping new migrants like these in Tripoli far away from its shores. That's why France wants to take up talks with Libya's new government as soon as possible. This is essential for the stability and security of Libya, but also for border management, as the migration problem is obviously part of the question. German Foreign Minister Frank-Walter Steinmeier and his French colleague will report back from a short trip to Tripoli last week. Steinmeier warned Europe mustn't lose sight of its efforts in the migration crisis. We certainly have to think about what tasks still have to be completed in the Mediterranean. We currently have a mandate that allows us to fight the illegal trafficking of migrants. As one migrant route is closed down, others will open up. That is what is becoming ever clearer here in Luxembourg.
Turning now to Ecuador, where the death toll in the country's earthquake has risen to 350, according to an official announcement made earlier during the day. The huge earthquake was the most powerful to shake the region for decades. The worst affected part is the Pacific coast, where many towns have been reduced to rubble. Details in this DWTV report.
Doctors raced to resuscitate a young girl pulled from the rubble. They got to her just in time. Medical staff managed to revive her and rush her off to hospital. Rescue workers continue to pick through the debris, searching for any signs of life. Hundreds are still believed to be trapped. But many medical facilities are also damaged, like here in Puerto Viejo. Every room still standing is being used to treat the wounded. Further north in the city of Pedernales, the military has set up a makeshift hospital in a stadium. Casualties are airlifted in and receive immediate medical attention. To help deal with the catastrophe, authorities have deployed thousands of troops and police officers to the affected regions. The huge 7.8 magnitude quake struck near the Pacific coast on Saturday evening. The capital Quito escaped major damage, but all coastal provinces have declared states of emergency. Ecuador's president cut short a visit to Italy to deal with the crisis. He called on the country to pull together during this difficult time. This is the biggest tragedy in the last 67 years. But, my dear compatriots, we will carry on. We will learn to overcome any obstacle. More unity and more solidarity are needed today. We are all part of Ecuador. The whole country is mobilized to get to the victims of this tragedy and to overcome these painful moments as soon as possible. Ecuador is particularly prone to earthquakes, but this one is the worst to hit the South American country in decades. And the death toll is expected to rise still further.
We'll now take our second break. It's time for the weather report. Cuts of the Central Forecast Office.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the weather forecast. A partly cloudy and cool atmosphere affected the country during the morning, and in the afternoon was sunny and hot. And for the satellite image shows convective cloud over the central part of Africa, and these clouds will cause rain, lightning and thunderstorm over the affected areas. Dry and stable atmosphere are still prevailing over the Gulf of Guinea, while dust haze over the northern part of Africa and the Sahel region of Africa. This will cause poor horizontal visibility and warm conditions. And for the weather tonight is expected to be clear skies, dry, warm and slightly hazy with occasionally breezy atmosphere. And for the weather tomorrow is expected to be misty during the early hours of the morning, and this will give way to a warm, slightly hazy and sunny atmosphere in the afternoon. Surface winds will be northwesterlies and northeasterlies in direction, and the speed will vary between 10 and 20 kilometers per hour. Minimum temperatures across the country will be 20 degrees over the Greater Banjul and North Bank, 19 over West Coast, 22 over Lower River, while 25 over Central and Upper River region. And for the maximum temperatures will be 38 degrees over the Greater Banjul, 41 over North Bank and Lower River, 40 over West Coast, and 43 over Central and Upper River region. Low tide will be 0.4 meters at 2 a.m. and also at 2 p.m. High tide will be 1.6 meters at 9 a.m. and 1.7 meters at 9 p.m. Wave will be 1 to 2 meters northwesterly swells. The sun will rise at 12 minutes to 7 in the morning and set at 19:21 in the evening. That was the forecast. Thanks for watching and good night.
And before we take leave of you, a recap of the day's major stories. Leaders of Muslim countries meeting in Turkey have hailed President Jammeh's decision to declare the Gambian Islamic State and Banjul's resolve to convene the next summit of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. First Lady Madam Zainab Yahya Jammeh has renewed her commitment to fighting cancer. Experts from ECOWAS sub-region have been meeting to discuss issues revolving around the multi-million-dollar Dakar-Lagos highway project. The Agriculture Ministry has kick-started a vaccination campaign seeking to protect 300,000 cattle from the contagious bovine pleuropneumonia or CBPP. And authorities in Ecuador have pegged the number of people killed in the devastating earthquake at over 350 people. That was all in this edition of the news. Thanks for the pleasure of your company. Do stay with us. Until then, my name is ALHAGIE ABUBAKAR.